All right, let's bring in CBS News White House and Foreign Affairs correspondent Margaret Brennan. She joins us now from the White House. So, Margaret, we heard and we saw from that tweet the president in which he criticized the mayor of London in the direct aftermath of the attack on London Bridge. So how is the mayor responding? What does it all mean for the relationship between the UK and the United States?
Well, it's interesting, Vi, that you just played that soundbite from the president reading those very scripted, very heartfelt remarks that were very much aimed at trying to reassure not only American public about this perceived threat of terrorism, but also reach out to those in London. It was a very, very different approach than his much more direct one that he issued as President of the United States from his Twitter account over Saturday night through Sunday morning. And when he was issuing many of those statements, some of them seemed to be aimed at the mayor of London, who he has previously also criticized, as has the son of the President of the United States, Donald Trump Jr., on various occasions because of this continued threat in the city of London. And with this tweet on Saturday and then on Sunday, the president seems to be suggesting that the mayor is downplaying this horrendous carnage. And the mayor of London's office said, frankly, we are dealing with a real situation here. We don't have time to respond to tweets, but this was all taken out of context, because if you play the entirety of the mayor's remarks, what he is saying when he uttered that phrase, "do not be alarmed," is he's telling the people of London, you're going to see armed men in the streets, police officers and others carrying weapons. And that's a very unusual sight in cities outside of the U.S., frankly. In Britain, gun ownership is very tightly controlled. It is unusual to see armed men, and that's what the mayor's office says he was addressing. He was not in any way downplaying the killing of his own citizens.
Very important contextual point there, Margaret. Meanwhile, the president, as you know, went on an early morning tweet storm about his proposed travel ban. He emphasized that he intends on calling it a ban, something his top aides have shied away from. And in one tweet, he wrote the Justice Department should ask for an expedited hearing of the watered-down travel ban before the Supreme Court and seek much tougher version. So walk us through where things stand with the ban and what the president is arguing here.
Well, I've asked the White House this morning and haven't received a response to try to explain what those tweets are this morning, because they seem to be suggesting future action. What we know is that the Justice Department and the Supreme Court, actually, they have had some exchanges so far. The administration says they want to take the case that far because they believe so strongly that the president is within his legal rights to be able to clamp down and stop entrance of individuals coming from 6 Muslim-majority countries, as well as refugees from many of those countries, if not more. But they have asked already for that review to be expedited. Remember, these lower federal courts, whether it was in Hawaii or in other states, have put a freeze on this. So in effect, there has been no slowing, no actual ban on travel, though there has been a chilling effect. And the president wants basically the Supreme Court to take the case quickly and, in their view, rule in what they believe is a clear case to rule in the president's favor that he has the right to do this. The problem and the reason that we're focusing on the language, as you said, in those tweets is because part of the objections here to the ban itself, or the travel freeze, which is what the White House would like it to be called, is when you call it a ban, that gets into that question of intention. Is the president actually intentionally targeting religious groups or ethnic groups in a way that violates and frankly doesn't protect the national security of Americans? And so the president really is doubling down on this language, saying, yeah, it is that. I am going to call it a ban, and sort of dismissing the legal arguments, the civil rights aspects to this case. But frankly, if you look, Vlad, at the merits of his argument, it doesn't address the situation like what you just saw happen in London. From what we have heard so far, the attackers were living in Europe and traveling on those papers from the countries they were living in. And even if they were of Moroccan origin, as others are reporting, that country is not even on the list. So if you've got people on Irish passports, British passports, and Moroccan papers, none of them would be affected by the president's travel ban anyhow. So I think he's just more broadly trying to make a political point, not one that actually is relevant to the security threat right now that he seems to be using in the case of London.
All right, Margaret Brennan at the White House for us. Margaret, thank you very much.